Hello YouTube, I'm Jack Clark, the Eagle Musketeer, coming to you with a video on missing the timing. Now, I do recommend that you watch this video all the way to the end, even if you do necessarily know what missing the timing is, because I'm hopefully going to explain why missing the timing makes perfect sense, and hopefully enlighten you as to why they use that particular wording. And for those of you who are pretty new to the game, or just don't know what missing the timing is, I will be explaining to you what missing the timing is, and if you do intend to play competitively or with more and more people, then I do suggest you know what missing the timing is, otherwise you'll get in a lot of arguments. So yes, let's start off. Missing the timing. Now, for example, in Yu-Gi-Oh, if I activate an effect, that effect can potentially miss the timing depending on the situation, and depending on how the effect is written. So, let's start off with an example. We're going to start off with Petten the Dark Clown. Now, Petten the Dark Clown, when he's sent to the graveyard, you can summon a Petten the Dark Clown from your hand or deck. Now, notice how I highlighted the words when it's sent to the graveyard and you can. The most important words in that effect are when and you can. Now, Petten the Dark Clown is notorious for missing the timing a lot because of how it is worded. Now, let's start off with you can. Now, you can is used a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! Effects because it implies it's an optional effect, which means it gives you a choice that even if you meet the condition of the card effect, so if it is sent to the graveyard, it means that even if it is sent to the graveyard, it doesn't have to activate and you do have a choice. However, what makes it so it misses the timing is the when. Now, the thing that some veteran players don't get or understand is when specifies when the time of which it activates, the time of which the condition is made. So, when Petten the Dark Clown is sent to the graveyard, its effect would activate immediately when it's sent to the graveyard, because when specifies the time of when it's sent to the graveyard. There are other effects which, in place of saying when, would say if. For these effects, those when the condition is made, it merely only needs to be made. Because when specifies that it has to activate as soon as the condition is made, if implies that it only needs to be made and doesn't need to activate as soon as it's done. Basically, if the condition's been made, then you can use the effect regardless of when you use it. So, let's go back to Petten the Dark Clown. Petten the Dark Clown, I tribute him for the summon of Luster Dragon number 2. Now, you would have thought that, okay, I summoned Petten the Dark Clown, and then I tributed it for Luster Dragon number 2. It has been sent to the graveyard, and I can activate its effect. No. Petten the Dark Clown, you need to activate it when it's sent to the graveyard. And since you are in the middle of summoning a monster, your Luster Dragon number 2, Petten the Dark Clown misses the timing. Let's think of another card that wouldn't miss the timing. Like I said, Violon Prism. Now, Violon Prism says, if this card from your monster card zone is sent to the graveyard, then you can equip it to a monster you control. So, for example, I summon a monk, discard a spell card, summon Violon Prism from my deck, and then I synchro summon Violon Epsilon. At which point, Violon Prism has been sent to the graveyard, and I can use its effect. Because even though I've just summoned a monster, and if it's that it would have normally missed the timing, it says if, which means it only needed to happen. It didn't need to happen at that exact moment. So as soon as the summon is successful, either they use, assuming they don't negate it with Solemn Warning or something silly, then I can use the effect of Violon Prism, and I can equip it to a monster I control, including the Epsilon that I literally just summoned. Of course, there are other effects, like which will say when, but won't miss the timing because they don't give you an option. When a card effects, they say you can. There are some card effects that don't give you the option to and have to activate. So, for example, Reborn Tengu starts off with when he's removed from the field. You special summon another Reborn Tengu from your deck. So, even though it starts with when, if I were to tribute it for Luster Dragon number 2, as soon as Luster Dragon number 2's effect, his summon is successful, then I can summon another Reborn Tengu directly from my deck straight afterwards, because it says when. You would have thought, oh, it has to activate when it's in the graveyard, but it doesn't give you a choice. So, assuming that you can't use his effect as soon as it's sent to the move from the field, then you have to do it as soon after. I hope that made more sense to you. I hope that wasn't as convoluted to you as it did sounded in my head. Of course, there will be annotations at the top left and right of the screen to go to previous and future videos respectively. But yes, just remember, if it starts off with when and that gives you a choice, then it can miss the timing. If it starts off with when and it doesn't give you a choice, it won't miss the timing and it will start a new chain, assuming that the last thing that happens wasn't him being the condition being fuck.